As Siren Kaye Webster, Belinda Giblin turned up the heat and got us all to turn on the box.
It was all, I thought, terribly healthy. But yes, it was exciting and fun. It was a fun series, you know.
Today, Belinda works almost exclusively in theater and is still proud of the figure that made her so famous.
I'm pretty fit. I like a lot of exercise. So I've kept the same weight, I think, since the age of 16. I haven't changed.
Picture this scene from The Young Doctors. It's a life and death situation at the Albert Memorial Hospital. But no one's looking at the patient. We can't take our eyes off Karen Pini's surgically fitted uniform and Eric Oldfield's trousers. I mean, they can't be good for his health, or his voice. TV's pinups are remembered long after their show ends.
I'll tell you one thing, your brother certainly knows what it's all about.
She was real floozy, but she was fun. The nurses' uniforms were probably the hardest part because you happened to lose an ounce and it was taken in. So it was sometimes quite hard to handle.
Hello, Ada. Heavens, how did you squeeze into those pants? Somebody sewed them onto you.
No, I just look after my figure.
These days, Karen Pini and her family run a kiosk at Cottage Point on Sydney's Hawkesbury River.
It's been fantastic to bring up children because they've got boats and water and fishing and all the things that all the kids dream about. And we were able to work here at the same time. So we were always with the kids, and that we found that very important.
Yeah, careful with that arm. We want to see Felicity.
Oh, yeah, sure. This doesn't look corny, does it?
Believe me, it's just great.
They tended to say I was a sex symbol. Rubbish. I had the opportunity of working with some very pretty ladies, and that was fun. I did a couple of nude scenes, much to my dear mother's worry, but they were all done in jest.
Just great, that's it.
Stripping for the box was a new experience for Ken James.
Oh, hell! Oh, you were just great, love. See you again, eh? We were all terrified. I mean, no, it was very new to Australian television. They closed the set and they said, you know, would you like to wear flesh-coloured knickers? And I said, of course. So, but yeah, that was just a part of it. I mean, I can remember the comedy of the box more than anything else.
And while many will remember the pecs and the chest hair, Ken has an impressive list of credits. 35 years of knowledge, which today he's sharing at the Academy of Television in Melbourne.
I teach hosting and presenting, and also teach comedy. I'm the senior tutor here at the Academy. I just pass on my experience.
It is time to relax at the Junction.
Life was simple and oh so down home in Petticoat Junction. Every mom wanted their sons to marry a girl called Joe. Billy Joe, Bobby Joe, or Betty Joe. The boys wanted them, and the girls wanted to be them.
There were girls who would come up to me and say, you know, when we come home from school, we play Petticoat Junction and I'm you. And I took that very seriously. And so it's very, very important, I think, to have had a good image for these kids.
Linda Henning won the role of Betty Jo Bradley in 1963 and was the only sister to stay with the show until the Hooterville Cannonball made its final stop in 1970.
Now he thinks we're going steady.
Maybe you're getting irresistible to the opposite sex.
Well, I've loved animals all my life. And in a sense, Betty Jo's character always loved animals. The dog followed her home, you know, from school.
Today, Linda works as an education officer at the Los Angeles Zoo.
You like them? You know how to tell the difference between a seal and a sea lion?
Linda spends one day a week at the zoo. She still earns her living as an actor, usually in radio. But is she still recognized as that sweet innocent she played 30 years ago?
Yes, all the time. In fact, after the animal show, there's always at least one person who comes up to me and says, aren't you Betty Jo?
Actor John Forsythe was considered the luckiest man on TV in the late 70s. We only ever saw the back of his head in a show in which he reigned over the hottest trio of pistol-packing PIs to ever hit our screens. He was Charlie, and they were his angels.
Put it down, nice and slow.
We took such flack in a way for the show being sort of tits and ass and titillating and everything, but if you sit and you watch the show, we were like Girl Scouts.
What is it, Charlie?
Cheryl Ladd replaced Farrah Fawcett as Angel Kris Monroe. She quickly realized that a bikini was more important than a police badge. Not in the fight for justice, but in producer Aaron Spelling's fight for ratings.
One of the big battles, I went in and I said, look, Aaron, I know that part of the reason you hired me is you like the way I look in a bathing suit. That's fine, I understand. But could we be near water somehow, a swimming pool, on a boat, at the beach? Somewhere where it would be appropriate to have a bathing suit on.
While Charlie's Angels made Cheryl Laird a household figure, she spent the past 15 years trying to cross back over the credibility gap with serious teledramas.
Letting people know that I was something other than Kris Monroe. That I could do something other than say, freeze.
Hello.
Who's she?
Am I supposed to know every good-looking woman in this hospital?
Well, you usually make it your business to.
I get to work with attractive women, so there'd be a lot of guys who'd be jealous. But I can assure you, of course, it's usually very clinical. And I know most actors say that, but it sort of spoils the image, doesn't it, saying it's clinical? You should really say, hey, you know, it really does happen. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Well, I know what I want.
Eric Oldfield's bedside manner steamed up the young doctors in the 1970s. Today, he's using his healing hands on a landscape business on the New South Wales North Coast. A laid-back lifestyle with plenty of time to surf with his son.
It's wonderful living up here. The pace of life is different. But I still commute when the jobs are there and they really want to see me. So, not real wealthy, but I guess I'm rich in a lot of other things. So, I guess I've landed on my feet. I've been a good pussycat.
From a good pussycat to a cool cat. He put the cell into celebrity and turned TV stardom into a merchandising bonanza.
You know, you're going to look so strange walking in the street with this, aren't you, huh?
Oh, but Fonz, I really wanted something to remember this night by.
Well, then, take this on.
One thing that I would not allow them to manufacture were girls' underpants with my picture on it. I thought that was going too far. You know, there were bath mats, there were socks, there was Fonzie everything, actually.
Not bad, considering the Fonz started life as a minor player and ended up stealing the show. Happy Days ran for a decade, and when it ended, Henry Winkler took himself on an acting-free holiday.
I had no desire to act anymore, and I think I did not act for about 8 years.
And action!
And he's still avoiding the camera. Well, the front of it, at least. These days, Henry's a successful Hollywood director and producer. That was it,
Don't tell
huh?
me you can't do this.
Yeah, the Fonz was the bad boy who came to the Cunninghams for dinner. Now to a good girl who you'd like to invite to dinner, but you'd never want her to cook it.
Don't worry. I like it burnt.
Liza Goddard was 18 when she played Skippy's lovable Clancy. Sharing the screen with heartthrob chopper pilot Tony Bonner made her the envy of every teenage girl. So it's a good thing they kept their real-life love affair a secret.
We couldn't go on the beach, couldn't go anywhere without people screaming, particularly if I went anywhere with Tony Bonner, because, of course, girls would scream and come and throw themselves at him.
After the bounding success of Skippy, Liza set out to see the world. Arriving in London 27 years ago, she settled and stayed. Now she works in theater and lives on a farm in Norfolk. Just her, the husband, 5 dogs, 3 horses, 2 cats, and 2 teenagers. But she still misses chatting with the vocal Roo.
Well, kangaroos make a horrible noise. They sort of go... And it was decided that wasn't a very suitable noise for a children's program. And so the sound man invented, and I think did the noise as well. And yet that is the thing that most people remember. The emus were the worst because they were absolutely violent. So what they had to do was give it half a bottle of whiskey, this emu, and then it was okay. If they gave it a bottle, of course, it fell over drunk, and then the next day had a hangover and was even worse. It's a horrible bird.
Well, Auntie Jack, we know you'll be back. Though you're 10 feet tall, you don't scare us at all. I always say that. You're big, bold, and tough. But you're...